a rather wealthy individual in his own right. He owns a chain of mini supermarkets in Great Britain. Comes here with a very big reputation nonetheless. And Kevin Ero starts this test match, only the third time in 81 years it's been played here in Christchurch. And Gary Belcher, this attacking Australian fullback, takes him and a heavy tackle on him, 15 metres out from the Australian line. Bradley Clyde, the newcomer. The New Zealanders, I'm sure, very aware of the number of mistakes they made in the first 20 minutes of that match at Eden Park, and will be very keen to close the Australians out and hit them with everything they've got. But Wally Lewis made an interesting observation on Friday in a television interview with Channel 10 in Australia. He believes this New Zealand team, unlike the World Cup side, has not been chosen for its aggressive skills, but its footballing skills. So it'll be interesting to see if there is, in fact, a change of tactics on the part of the New Zealanders here. Running with the ball for the first time in the match inside their own half. This is Tony Ero. He makes play up 10 metres, still inside the New Zealand half. Charge from Brent Todd. Barry Harvey, dummy half. On halfway in the first 2 minutes of this match. Sam Stewart takes it up into the Australian half. Taken in the tackle by Kerrod Walters. Harvey again. And the referee has called for the scrum for the ball lost forward.
An early mistake there from Brendan Tudor, but he'll be settling down. He's fired up out there at the moment. It's vital that these big forwards make their yardage plays.
And Clayton Friend leaves the ball behind. And I think he might have knocked it forward as well in his fumble of the ball there, and so the Australians get the loose head inside the New Zealand, inside their own half. And the referee looks as if he's penalised the New Zealanders.
This is the sort of thing that referees do early in a game. They try and show their authority, and it happened in the World Cup final. It's happening here again today. They stamp their authority on the match early.
He pointed the finger at one of the New Zealand props. I think it was Brent Todd, for something that he saw as the scrum was going down. So the Australians, and this is big Sam Bacco, the heaviest man on the field at 108 kilograms. Kerrod Walter. Steve Roach out of favour with the New South Wales selectors, but in the Australian side this afternoon, Wally Lewis. And the ball fumbled there by Paul Siddinen, and New Zealand get the loose head. So there's an early mistake from the Australians as well, as little Clayton Friend has a word to say to Siddinen, and the New Zealanders get a penalty. Little Clayton Friend, he wasn't going to allow this big fella to get the better of him. There he is. Well, I guess if you like your friends fractious and fiery, there's your man.
Very impressed with the way the Kiwis are getting up in the defensive line. They're getting up and moving up quick on them.
So from the free kick, 10 metres inside the Australian half. No score in the match, which is 4 minutes old. James Golding. There he is, number 10. Playing only his second test match. And Shane Cooper looking for Tony Kemp, but the gap was too wide, and so he elected to take the tackle himself. And the New Zealanders making their way up to the Australian quarter line. Barry Harvey back to Brendan Tuta, one of the two new caps in the New Zealand team. Sam Stewart, and Stewart stepping through one tackle. And the little grubber click from Clayton Friend. And the Australians in trouble. Hancock, the teenager in the Australian team, getting his first touch of the ball as a wall of black jerseys swallow him up a couple of metres from his own goal line. And the New Zealanders up offside, up inside the 5-metre mark while the ball was being played. And so the Australians receive a penalty just 10 metres from their own line.
Still a feeling out period at the moment, and this will carry on for the next 5 or 10 minutes. But the Kiwis are looking good at this stage.
And the big charge from Steve Roach, the man they call the blocker, to Walters. And a little fortuitous there for the Australians as the ball went off Bacco, but coming through was Bradley Clyde to take the ball. So Australia still with possession. Lewis on halfway. very aggressive fellow Brendan Tuta buries Wally Lewis. The Australians moving the ball wide for the first time, and Bradley Clyde almost stepping out of the tackle there. Vaughton, the vice-captain in the Australian team, makes 5 metres. 4 tackles. Lewis kicking on the 4th tackle. Back there is Mark Elia, 10 metres from his own line, having a little bit of a run. There's a bit of a gap here for Elia. Crunched by Backo and Lewis on the quarter line. Darryl Williams, the fullback, can't get away from Wally Lewis. Brent Todd. Friend, Cooper. And what does Mr. Tennant say about that tackle? It looked a little high. Tony Kemp was underneath it, and he's not well.
Was a high tackle there, but he slipped into it, and he's definitely hurt out there at the moment. He's not looking too good.
And we'll have a stoppage here. A penalty against the Australians. They've been caught offside again. And meanwhile, Tony Kemp is receiving some attention. Let's have a look at that tackle again. He looked as if he might have slipped as he was going into the tackle. And there's Wally Lewis. Well, I'm not altogether sure whether it was Lewis that deliberately made contact with Kemp. He seemed to slide and lose his footing as he went into the tackle with Lewis, but he has suffered an injury. Meanwhile, play continues with Darryl Williams taking the penalty from halfway. Tony Kemp has rejoined the match after some attention from the New Zealand physio Glenn Gallagher. Clayton Friend, no way past Paul Vaughton.
The runners just weren't there then. They should have been there. That was a planned move.
Taken up by Golding. 10 metres inside the Australian half. Still no score on the match. And here's Kevin Ero with his first real chance in the match. Ero gets away from one tackle. This big man, look at him, it takes 1-2 to get him down. It's Tony Curry that eventually made the tackle. Hugh McGann kicking for the corner flag. Gary Belcher, it's an awkward one. He takes it a metre from the line. That's a good tackle from the New Zealand captain. He made the kick and he also made the tackle, putting pressure on the Australians on their own line. Hancock. He hesitated before he elected to pass. And again, the ball has gone loose, and the Australians being subjected to some pressure here from the New Zealanders. Good stuff here from the Kiwis in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, great football, New Zealand. Brendan Tuta's getting into these players, and they don't like it at all. I can see now why they call him the baby-faced assassin. Wally Lewis will know what he looks like by the end of the match.
There he is, number 13, the New Zealand loose forward. Now, New Zealand with the ball. Kevin Ero just 10 metres out, looking to go on his own. Friend playing the ball to Sam Stewart. That's the New Zealand try line. They're only a couple of metres away. Friend, the long pass to Kevin Ero again. Couldn't free the pass to Mark Elia. Clayton Friend, a dummy half. Kevin Ero to Cooper. Back to Friend again. No way for the little fiery fella through those big Australian props. Todd to Kemp, moving the ball wide, but the pass was a poor one to Sam Stewart.
Yeah, the nerves are starting to go now, and they're starting to fire the ball around. It's loosening up a bit. We're going to see one great match here today.
Well, this is certainly a better start by the Kiwis in the first 10 minutes than we saw at Eden Park 9 months ago. And the ball going loose and diving on it. One of those New Zealand forwards, but I think they might have been offside.
Yeah, it looks as though Brendan Tuta broke from the scrum too quick.
So Australia received a penalty from Mr. Tennant inside their own quarter line. From the free kick, Backo takes play up to within 10 metres of halfway. Walters to Steve Roach, the big 27-year-old Balmain prop. Bradley Clyde, the 19-year-old from Canberra, within 7 metres of halfway. No score yet with 11 minutes of the match gone. And here's the first real break as the Australians move the ball wide, and it's gone loose. The break made by Paul Sirinen, but Australia losing the ball. Surprising to see the Australians with such good ball skills and such a good scoring opportunity fumbling the ball there.
This is what happens when you give them space. This is what happens. Have a look at it. Big Paul Sirinen busts 2 tackles, 3 tackles, and gets the vital pass away, and Fatty Vorton's there to back up. And then the stray pass there. Good work, Hugh McGann.
Yeah, mate, yep.
But New Zealand receive the penalty. Now they take the free kick inside the Australian half. You just have to be so quick with these Australians. If they see half a gap, they're gone. This is what happened at Palmerston North on Tuesday night. They have this marvellous ability to seemingly create something out of nothing, as we saw then. And it was really only that spilled pass that saved New Zealand's bacon.
Could be early points here for New Zealand.
So New Zealand ahead in the penalty count, 5-3, and here is an opportunity for Kevin Iro to put the first points on the board from a very handy position.
Yes, you see both teams using the block ploy here, where they put the decoy runner through and give it to the wide runner on the outside, and this is effective. And of course there, Greg Alexander, he's pulling the ball away, and that's an offence. It's 2 points coming up here, hopefully.
So watch number 7, Greg Alexander, as he makes the tackle and then doesn't allow the player to get up with the ball as he pushes it out of his arm. And Kevin Iro now has a chance to put the first points on the board. Just the start the Kiwis wanted. Kevin Iro slots the penalty, and New Zealand ahead by 2-0 after 12 minutes of play in the first half. Kevin Iro, who scored 20 points in his Test debut back in 1987 against Papua New Guinea, and he'll be doing the goal kicking for New Zealand today. Wally Lewis restarting from halfway. This is his brother Tony Iro playing on the right wing, but he's lost it forward. That's bad from Tony Iro, because the Australians now are just 15 metres from the New Zealand line. This is their best opportunity so far. They're really the first time they've got inside the New Zealand quarter line. No way through there for Lewis. And that could well be a penalty.
And it's on here on the side. She's on for 1-0.
Well, I think there might just have been a slightly over-vigorous play there by the couple of the Kiwis on Wally Lewis.
Yeah,
and his teammates were quick to come to his defence.
Brendan Tudor, he's got his eyes on Wally Lewis, and I know Brendan well, and with the bigger the names come the bigger the hits, and he's really giving Wally Lewis a hard time out there today.
Watch him, number 13.
Just watch him, yeah. Here he comes.
Now in comes Tudor now, and hey, that is really just a wee bit too aggressive from Brendan Tudor, the Chatham Islander.
Yes.
And he's been penalised. There he is, the man making his Test debut today, born in the Chatham Islands. In fact, a big plane load of the locals have flown into Christchurch today to cheer their lad on. But he's just going to have to curb some of his aggression.
Controlled aggression's the name of the game.
Mel Meninga with a shot at goal, probably even slightly easier than the one that Kevin Iro had a few moments ago, and this should level the scores. Meninga, who celebrated his 29th birthday yesterday, playing today in his 20th Test match. A simple kick for the big Queenslander, and Mel Meninga evens the score after 13 minutes of play. But for all that indiscretion from Tuta, Frank Endicott, the Kiwis, I think, could be reasonably pleased with their first 15 minutes of this match.
They can feel very pleased with the first 13 minutes of this match. They're playing good football out there, and they're in with a big chance today. If they keep busting these Australians, they'll get them upset. It's just the silly little errors like that that are going to cost them.
Clayton Friend penalised, and the Australians receive a penalty inside their own quarter line. Wally Lewis, who will kick for touch. the penalty count evened up at 5 apiece, with that penalty going to the Australians. Walters with the free kick to Steve Roach. Back to Walters. Bacco running on at pace. Breaks out of 2 tackles. Big Sam Bacco. 17.5 stone of him. You've got to watch this fellow. Vaughton. Paul Vaughton, who captained the Australians for the first time in the match at Palmerston North on Tuesday. Walters to Alexander. Gary Belcher, the fullback, runs into Sam Stewart. 10 metres inside the New Zealand half. Walters. And again, it's the big prop forwards that are running off these first plays, and the Australians trying to move the ball quickly. But a very good tackle by Shane Cooper on Vaughton there. Didn't allow the Australian vice-captain to free the pass. And the ball eventually knocked forward. So the scrum to go down just 2 metres inside the New Zealand half. The score's level at 2-all. Penalty apiece. Friend to Cooper. To Kemp. Couldn't free his pass to Mark Elia. Suriname made sure of that. Mark Elia, who's had very little to do in the match so far. Taken on by Brent Todd. Back to Harvey. Shane Cooper. Hugh McGann just trying to slip through that gap. Taken by his opposite number, Siddinen. 10 metres inside the Australian half, and Hugh McGann is lying on the ground. Doesn't look too good at the moment. As the Australians move the ball wide, and a long wide pass from Wally Lewis, getting it as far as Hancock. Tries to get away, and he does get away from Sam Stewart. But James Golding comes quickly in and takes this youngster 10 metres outside his 22. That could well be a penalty. Looked a little high. The referee has a word with the man who did it, Brent Todd. Explains that that's over the shoulder line. Let's have a look at it again. Tony Curry, and in goes Brent Todd. Too high, penalty.
Fair penalty there. You've got to keep the tackles down. That was far too high. I'm very impressed with the New Zealand back three at the moment. They're tackling their hearts out.
Now in comes Hancock, and he just about got away from the tackle of Sam Stewart. Just got him with the ankle tap. Alexander, Lewis, the Australians moving it fast as far as Vaughton, buried by Hugh McGann. 10 metres outside the New Zealand quarter. Roach. Bradley Clyde couldn't get his big frame through that little half gap that he spotted. Alexander again. Lewis, and Wally Lewis, he's going to have a little run on his own. Makes it to the quarter line. And now some real pressure coming from the Australians. Here goes big Paul Siddinen, but he really ran off the support there. They're only a matter of 10 or 12 metres from the New Zealand line. Roach, Steve Roach looking for some support. Alexander, there's a gap here. Alexander, and yes, is that the first try? Tony Curry gets it. An air of inevitability about that as wave upon wave of Australian attack, and it was eventually Tony Curry there to finish the movement off, and Australia take the lead by 6 points to 2. This was the final play. Steve Roach with a little dummy which confused the New Zealand defence, eventually taken in the tackle, but then the Australians had the numbers. Alexander as far as Tony Curry, and the Queenslander in the 19th minute scores the first try of the match.
Yes, an excellent build-up here from the Australians. They hit the short side here. You'll see the ball go out here from Alexander to Curry, and Curry in the corner. Good work there from Steve Roach too. But the build-up happened 30 metres out. They worked it out 30 metres out, then hit the short side, and New Zealand were vulnerable there.
So Meninga with this very difficult conversion from just a half a metre in from touch. This to make it 8-2. Meninga, it's not a bad looking kick. And suddenly the Australians, after being subjected to early pressure by the Kiwis, find themselves with a 6-point lead. Okay, let's see how Howie Tamati felt about that try, looking at it from down there on the touchline. Howie.
Well, 20 minutes gone, Howie, and what are your thoughts so far?
Well, I thought they started well, but they're just going too high in their tackles. They've got to get around their legs. They're moving up. They're going forward well in their when they're driving the ball up, but they've got to go low. They can't keep flying around their head. They'll just fall off.
So from the restart, Dale Shearer plays it back to Sirinen, who has this ability we've seen already of stepping out of a tackle just when you think you've got him, using those long legs of his to wriggle himself free. He nearly did it again then. Good play there by Steve Roach. Freed the ball in the tackle with one arm. And the Australians starting to look ominous. Belcher using these big men to charge at the New Zealanders, trying to wear them down with their superior weight and strength. Bradley Clyde, it was there. And the kick, Wally Lewis. And a little fortuitous that Gary Belcher was backing him up. Walters. Bradley Clyde again. This is the young man who at 19 years of age is being tipped as one of the real bright prospects of Australian Rugby League. Only second year out of school. Fought and left it behind, and the New Zealanders dive on it. James Golding that pounced on the ball as the New Zealanders spin it wide. And a big tackle on Kevin Edo from his opposite number, Meninga. Mel Meninga, who hasn't had much to play in this match so far, apart from his kicking. Backo to Walters. Get away from Todd. Sirinen again, who's becoming a key man in this match, along with Clyde. Those two second rowers and those two big prop forwards from the Australians. Wally Lewis doubles round, and here's Clyde again. There's room for the big second rower. A superb tackle, however, by Hugh McGann from behind. Kevin Ero a little lucky to gather on the ball after looking a little suspect under the bomb. The referee has given a penalty to the New Zealanders.
Very impressed with the referee up today. He's doing a good job out there. I see both teams are actually cringing inside that 5 metre mark. He's giving them a glare, you know, a bit of eye contact, and he's not blowing the game up like a lot would. And I'm very impressed with him.
Well, he does have a reputation. I think they call him the ghost because of the lack of presence he likes to impose on a match, and that's what we're seeing from him this afternoon. It's James Golding. No way through that wall of green jerseys. And I think he might have lost it as well. So the Australians win it. Steve Roach moves it as far as Greg Alexander. And New Zealand have suffered 7 drop balls in the first 20 minutes of this match. That's unfortunate. The Australians, in turn, have lost the ball 3 times when they've had possession. Belcher tries to get away from Kemp. Sirinen again. Sirinen gets away from one tackler, makes it up to halfway and frees the pass. Good play from Sirinen. He really is having a big game. Alexander to Roach. Roach just doesn't have the speed of Sirinen, so giving the New Zealanders a little more time to make the tackles on the big Balmain prop. Lewis again. Into the arms of Mark Elia on the quarter line. Wally Lewis makes the tackle.
Some of these New Zealand forwards are showing signs of tiredness at the moment.
Darryl Williams, who hasn't had much to do so far in the match, running from fullback just outside the New Zealand quarter line. The Australians are ahead by 8 points to 2. Try in the 18th minute by Tony Curry. Friend to Kevin Edo. Gets out of the tackle of Meningas, gets away from Lewis as well. Alexander tries to get him around the neck, and Alexander, lucky that he wasn't penalised there. He deliberately went in around the neck, however. Tony Kemp. Kemp breaks out of one tackle. Where's the support for Kemp? Gets the pass as far as Hugh McGann inside the Australian half. Better stuff here from the Kiwis. And Darryl Williams trying to bounce the ball into touch and does do so as well.
Good work there from both centres, both running good, hard and fast. Kevin Iroh's just stamping his class on this game at the moment.
So the scrum going down of about 5 metres outside the Australian quarter line on this, the near side. Alexander. And a good tackle on by Clayton Friend. And New Zealand win possession as well. That's better stuff. To Cooper. To Sam Stewart. Back to Harvey. Todd. 15 metres from the try line. Harvey again to Friend. Cooper. McGann. Barry Harvey. 4 tackles gone so far. And the little grubber kick from Clayton Friend, and the chase is on. But it was always covered there by Dale Shearer on the left wing for Australia. The chase given by Tony Kemp. It's the first time the Australians have been under any pressure since the first 5 minutes of the match.
Yeah, the line drop out here. We're going to get 6 plays inside their half. This is when we must turn it into points.
26 minutes have gone in the first half. Australia are ahead by 8 points to 2. The Australian skipper Lewis with the goal line dropout. It's a very good kick from Lewis, getting plenty of yardage, bouncing the ball back inside the New Zealand half. Tony Iro, and using every ounce of his 95 kilograms to make play up 10 metres inside the Australian half. McGann. Looking a little groggy and not looking too good, Hugh McGann, who's had a couple of knocks so far in this match, and he looks as if he's suffered a knock to his rib cage. He's getting some attention there from the New Zealand physio as play continues. New Zealand could ill afford to lose the services of this man, this inspired leader, Hugh McGann. And Clayton Friend gathering up the loose ball, but I think he might have knocked it forward first. Mr. Tennant is called from the scrum. So an anxious sight there for Kiwi eyes with Hugh McGann, whose presence was sorely missed in that World Cup final last year. And Mr. Tennant decides we'll have a break. So at the moment the penalty count is 6-all. New Zealand having suffered 8 drop balls to the Australians 5. And looking at the tackle count, which makes interesting reading, it's been Hugh McGann, the man that's getting the attention from Glenn Gallagher, that's leading the New Zealand tackle count with 11 so far. Sam Stewart's made 10. Brent Todd has made 10. And in the Australian camp, it's been Paul Vaughton with the highest tackle count so far of 11 from the first 28 minutes of this match. Hugh McGann, who would like to score, I'm sure, another try today to give him a share of the test match record for tries and tests by a Kiwi of 15, presently held by Philip Orchard. Belcher from fullback to Meninga. And they had to close that gap quickly on the Brisbane Bronco. Well, he's now, in fact, playing for the Canberra Raiders, the Queenslander, Mel Meninga. Inside the New Zealand half. Steve Roach again. Still only 1 try in the match so far, with just over 10 minutes of play remaining in the first half. Greg Alexander. They've been watching him like a hawk. He had such a good game in Palmerston North. He's so dangerous, can play the ball. 3 tries he got against the President's 13. The Australians have been penalised. Someone chipped the referee. I think it might have been Alexander.
No, it was Steve Roach there. He had to go at Daryl Williams, threw a couple of punches at him, and he copped 2 or 3 back too, mind you. And he said something to the referee, and New Zealand have got the penalty.
Now it's just a metre inside the Australian half, but it appears to be beyond the range of Kevin Iro, and so Williams, the fullback, will take the penalty kick and kick for touch. And well, he's found it, but he certainly didn't make much ground. Just a couple of metres up the touchline. But however, New Zealand with 6 tackles. Todd. Carey trying to go underneath those Australian defenders. And Tuta to Sam Stewart, running at pace, making 10 metres. 10 metres outside the quarter line in centre field. Australia ahead by 8-2. Cooper to Kemp, back to Cooper. Clayton Friend. New Zealanders keeping the ball alive. Williams from fullback. Clayton Friend again, moving it wide to Tuta. Gets the ball as far as Tony Iro, who darts back infield. And the New Zealanders are certainly keeping the ball alive, but they're not making much progress up the field. Iro loses the ball, and Australia come away with it. Alexander to Wally Lewis. To Belcher. Belcher gets away from 2 tackles. Meninga across to Hancock.
I notice a lot of the running in this game is going across the paddock and not up. And you know, these forwards have got to think about their yardage plays. Before you throw a wide ball, you must make your yardage. And it started off forwards taking 3-4 plays up and then throwing a wider ball. And at the moment, it's just getting a little bit loose.
Good stuff from Darryl Williams as he makes 15 metres up the field. Tuta carries it on inside the Australian half. The New Zealanders looking for their first try of the match. It hasn't come so far. And the whistle is gone. An injury to Paul Borton. And he's having a word to Brent Todd. We might have a look at that again. And Tuta, I think, is going to be penalised. It's the second time Tuta's been singled out by the referee for over-vigorous play.
Yes, I think you'll find here he just lashes out with a boot and gets Paul Vorton, I think it is, or the knee, is it? Yeah. Just watch it here. Give him a shove. Yeah, the right knee in the face of Paul Vorton, and just an act of undiscipline there.
Now Tuta will be on borrowed time if he continues with those sort of tactics. That's twice he's been singled out for clear indiscretion. Okay, he's fired up and he's pumped up. That's good, but there's really no room or need for that. And his first indiscretion cost 2 points. This time it's inside the Australian half, so Lewis will just kick for touch. But it was an obsession, I guess, with those sort of tactics that cost New Zealand dearly in the World Cup final. They really have to concentrate on playing football rather than playing the man. However, from the restart, Roach. Good tackle by Sam Stewart on Roach. Walters goes the short side with Alexander. And the ball, in the opinion of the referee, was not lost forward. It rolled across the field, and so the Australians continued with it. Alexander to Clyde. Couldn't get his pass for an in. Goes Brendan Tuta again with plenty of vigour. Sirinen. This is the 5th tackle coming up. Lewis decides he'll drop for goal. It makes something of a hash of it.
Yes, actually clipped by a New Zealand player on the way through, and that's a line dropout. It's unfortunate.
So only 1 try so far in the first 31 minutes of this match, scored by Tony Curry in the 17th minute. The try converted by Meninga. He's also kicked a penalty, and Kevin Iro started the scoring with a penalty for New Zealand as Darryl Williams with a big goal line dropout, carrying the ball on the full into the Australian half, taken by his opposite number, Gary Belcher. Shane Cooper makes the tackle on him, 10 metres inside the New Zealand half. Alexander manages to get his pass to Sirinen, pushes off James Goulding and makes play up almost to the quarter line.
Yeah, Paul Sirinen, he's coming into his own there. He'd be the player of the match up to this stage.
Walters looking for Tony Curry. This elusive Queensland centre. Away goes Curry. Must be a try to Lewis. Oh, great play from the Kangaroos. The 2 Broncos, Tony Curry and Wally Lewis, combined superbly there to completely hoodwink the New Zealand defence. And the second try of the match coming in the 32nd minute. And just watch this man Curry. He is so elusive. The pass fed to him from Walters, 20 metres out. He steps out of one tackle. He steps out of another. The big gap opened up, and there he was, his skipper, Wally Lewis, on hand to take the pass. Ero came too late. And Wally Lewis gets the try. It's 12-2.
Yes, good try to Australia here. You see Walters moving across the ruck. Wide pass to Curry. Beautiful footwork by Curry, but look at the missed tackles, all going too high. And the final pass again, and who else? Wally Lewis. What a master. There he goes. Be a good 6-pointer this for Australia. New Zealand have now got to regroup. They've got to get their composure back. They've got to get back into this game.
Meninga from a handy position makes it 14-2, and the Australians now with a 12-point lead with half-time just a few minutes away. We might have a look at that try again. Just look at the footwork of this Brisbane Bronco. He really did jink and dive all around the show. But as Frank Endicott said, where were the New Zealand tackles? Where was the defence? It wasn't at home. And Lewis with a very simple run-in. Once he received that pass, Curry did all the work. But Wally Lewis, ever the magician there to finish it off. So just 4 minutes of play remaining at half-time. That try could not really have come at a worse time for New Zealand. Giving 6 points away just before the break. Dale Shearer playing the ball, 12 metres from his own line. The New Zealand task now must be, of course, to try and at least get a try back before half-time to stay within distance of the Australians. But at the moment, it's Hancock as he sprints down that left wing, and no one is at home. Darryl Williams, and away goes Kieran Walters. It's 2-on-1 here. Oh, great stuff from the Australians. They are starting to run riot. And it's these Queenslanders that are doing it. Kieran Walters finishes off the try, and it's 18-2. And it began way back in the New Zealand half, inside their own quarter line, in fact. The initial break made there by Meninga, and Michael Hancock, just 19 years of age. He took off like Carl Lewis, and poor old Clayton Friend didn't get anywhere near him. The pass to Kieran Walters. Walters just ambles in for the try. A suggestion there might have been a forward pass there. Let's have a look at this again, Frank.
Yeah, very, very close, this one. This is a marginal, but I've always said that marginal passes always go to the attacking side.
Now, this was the pass that looked as if it might have been forward.
Yeah, not a good angle to see it, but I had me doubts there. But, you know, the thing is that the Kiwis on the blind side are standing and waiting for the Australians to come, and you can't do that. You've got to get up. You've got to knock them over. Both sides have got to move up, not just one.
So Meninga, who hasn't put a foot wrong all day with his goal kicking, and suddenly the New Zealanders are staring down the barrel of a good old-fashioned hiding after they played so well and so competitively for the first 20 minutes. But against this brilliant world champion side, if you make one mistake, you can pay very dearly for it. It's 20-2. 4 out of 4 for Mal Meninga, and the Australians in the box seat with half-time just a minute away. Well, Howie Tamati, what do you think now? Well, we're having a little bit of a problem with Howie Tamati's microphone down there at half-time. Maybe Michael Hancock might have stood on the cable when he took off down the touchline. However, or maybe Howie's just speechless with the way the Australians have suddenly taken New Zealand apart in the last 5 minutes. Half-time now, just a minute away, as away come the Australians again. The New Zealanders really on the ropes at the moment at 20-2. And there will be no mercy from these Australians. Siddinen again, making the break, but the ball lost forward. New Zealand have it. Tony Kemp going down, but inside his own half. Mark Elia coming across from the left wing, trying to link up there with the right wing. Tony Iro plays it to Tony Iro at dummy half. So a couple of defensive laps have seen Australia convert those lapses into 12 points in what was a rather even and competitive game of rugby league at 8 points to 2. Is suddenly looking rather one-sided as we approach half-time at 20 points to 2. As Clayton Friend kicks it deep. And Hancock, this young man who scored 4 tries in the State of Origin this year. And just look at the way, this magnificent sidestep that he's got. Brushing away the tackles, but taken by Tony Iro this time. And Kerrod Walters breaking and running from dummy half. Takes play out 15 metres from the Australian line. Back to Bradley Clyde. Roach again. 16.5 stone at 105 kilograms of Steve Roach. Vorton. Now into injury time in the first half, with the Australians ahead by 20 points to 2. 3 first half tries. And the tries coming in the first half to Curry, Lewis and Walters. As Darryl Williams running it from fullback. And so all the honours lie with the Kangaroos at the end of the first 40 minutes of the first test here at QE2 Park in Christchurch. There it is, the sad news from a New Zealand point of view, but a great scoreline from the Australians, leading by 20 points to 2. The tries coming from Curry in the 19th minute, Lewis in the 32nd, and Walters in the 35th. Mal Meninga with 4 out of 4 with his kicking, 20 points to 2. New Zealand's only reply in the first half, a penalty to Kevin Iro.
See Gary Freeman on the field, his first game for about 3 months.
Yeah, it'd be good to see. Maybe you can turn the game around a little bit.
Okay, let's go back to Brendan Telfer.
So Wally Lewis restarts this first test match here at QE2 Park in Christchurch with his side, the world champions, and boy, did they play like that, particularly in the last 20 minutes of the first half. They're ahead by 20 points to 2. A little fumble there from Barry Harvey. Another mistake coming from the Kiwis, and Australia with possession and immediately on attack. And there he is, Gary Freeman, who's having his first match, I think, since about the 27th of March, since he had that big suspension imposed on him. And what a moment it is for him, coming out here with his side behind by 20 points to 2, having hadn't played any football for 3 months. But Gary Freeman, nonetheless, would be absolutely delighted to be on the field. He was feeling really frustrated with the New Zealand team over the last couple of days at the thought he may not get any football for another 3 weeks, because he's now eligible to play back for his Balmain club if he wants to. But probably a good move there on the part of Tank Gordon, Frank, to bring Freeman on.
Yeah, good move. You know, he's a good organiser, this fella, and I know he hasn't had the match football, but he'll relish the conditions out there today.
Tony Iro. There's Gary Freeman on for Clayton Friend, playing a dummy half. Sam Stewart. Well, I imagine these Kiwis got a good old-fashioned tongue lashing from Tank Gordon at half-time. I bet he read the riot act to them, and they do look fired up despite the fact they're 18 points behind. Tony Kemp leaves it behind. There was a half gap there. He had Tony Iro with him. So it's now, I guess, a matter of pride for these Kiwis. It would be, I think, stretching their bounds of credibility to expect them to come back and win this match against this superbly organised Australian side. But nonetheless, they've got 40 minutes to rescue some pride, which took a battering at Eden Park last year. And there's a sense of déjà vu descending upon us here in QE2 Park. Australia with possession. And there are some of the key statistics from the first half. Interesting to see that New Zealand have made a lot more tackles in Australia, by 106 to 78. And leading the New Zealand tackle count was Todd with 15. McGann made 16. Stewart 12 and 2 to 12.
Well, the reason they've made more tackles is because they've made more mistakes. And this is why the Australians are ahead by so many.
So New Zealand receive a penalty. 5 minutes in the second half and about 8 minutes inside their own half. Penalties shared at 7 apiece from the first 40 minutes. From the play the ball, James Golding makes play up to within 2 metres of the Australian line, quarter line. Gary Freeman. And the pass goes astray, but fortunately Brendan Tutu was there before the Australians could snap it up. So New Zealand again with possession. Freeman, Gary Freeman sees a little gap. Fifth tackle coming up. Barry Harvey puts his head down and batters his way a few metres to the line. And the referee's whistle had gone. I think he might have spotted an Australian up inside the 5 metres. And New Zealand receive a penalty. It was Bradley Clyde, their second rower, who infringed. And New Zealand with a chance to put the first points on the board in the second half. But I think Williams is going to kick for touch. So New Zealand obviously looking for the tries. Sam Stewart doesn't get away from Kieran Walters. Sam Backo marking him from the play the ball to Kevin Eardorp. And Curry and Alexander have him, and he loses it forward. And Gary Belcher has it for the Australians.
Yeah, mistakes again. You just can't afford to make mistakes against a side like this.
It's the 12th time New Zealand have dropped the ball when they've had possession in the match.
And again, a 5-metre one. You only get so many chances in a game of rugby league, and you've got to take those chances when they come, and that's exactly what we're not doing out there today.
Shane Cooper who was spotted by Mr. Tennant up inside the 5-metre mark from play the ball in Australia with the penalty. Now with the free kick, Sam Backo, who had a pretty quiet first half. It was Sirinen and Roach that seemed to be taking the play mostly to the New Zealanders from the play the balls. Maybe they're keeping him back for the second half.
Yeah, well, you know, you have a look at big Sam Backo. He hasn't done much at all, but when these fellas, these Kiwis get tired as they look at the moment, I think you'll see Sam Backo come into the game, especially near the try line.
20 points to 2. The score, no change from half-time. The Australians scoring 3 first-half tries to Curry, Lewis and Walters as Steve Roach charges up over halfway. That's the 5th tackle. Lewis, Alexander. Nicely taken there by Mel Meninga. And the ball has gone loose. And the Australians come away with it again.
James Golding not looking too good on it out here in the centre of the field either. He's taken a heavy knock.
Bradley Clyde pushes off one tackle. Greg Alexander couldn't get his pass away. Good smothering tackle there from Gary Freeman. Australians looking dangerous again in the early minutes of the second half. Backo gets his pass away to Vaughton. Here comes another try, I think. Vaughton brought down right on the line. And a desperate moment there for New Zealand. Darryl Williams with a very good tackle on Vaughton. Sirinen. Again, there were big defensive gaps there among the New Zealanders as Vaughton probed the line. And a suggestion of a little knock on there from Gary Belcher trying to take that wide pass. And New Zealanders can breathe again, but boy, these Australians, they're not letting up.
James Golding, he's out on his feet out there at the moment. He's had a real heavy knock. He's not looking too good. He could be replaced.
James Golding, the New Zealand tight head prop. Darryl Williams to Elia, trying to run it out from just a few metres from the New Zealand line. Brendan Tutu No way past Wally Lewis or Steve Roach. In centre field on the New Zealand quarter line, Sam Stewart. And here comes the big downtowner, as they call it, from Darryl Williams. Tricky little bounce, it eludes Gary Belcher. He's inside his own quarter line. Doesn't get away from Tony Kemp. Dale Shearer, who's had a very quiet game so far, didn't see much of the ball in the first half. And a long bullet pass to Mel Meninga, confronted by Shane Cooper and Brendan Tuta. Hancock to Belcher. Shane Cooper has him on the 22. Ten minutes of play in the second spell, and the half-time score remains 20 points to 2 to the Australians. Lewis again doesn't manage to free his pass this time. That was a good tackle on Lewis. The Australians on their quarter line. Lewis to Greg Alexander, and Ilya leaving it for Darryl Williams, running it out from his own quarter line. Runs straight into Karen Walters. Wally Lewis there as well. New Zealand, who have had very few real scoring opportunities in this match at all, which is testimony to the very solid defence of these Australians. It's not just a matter of them being able to move the ball at pace. Their defensive work today has been quite exceptional. Freeman. And again, there doesn't seem to be a great sense of direction or purpose about a lot of these New Zealand plays, Frank.
No, the support's just not there. They're going in, they're turning and popping a pass in the tackle, and the runners just aren't there. You've got to want to run against these guys. You've got to want to run.
Dale Shearer finding the ground a little bit soft. Belcher. Good support play here from Shearer. This is virtually the Queensland backline, of course, that's playing in this test match this afternoon. Only Greg Alexander at halfback is a non-Queenslander, and the other 5 outside of him, all members of that highly successful Queensland side that won the State of Origin. Now this could be the first real opportunity. And away goes Mark Ealy with the intercept, and he's got the pace on Curry. So something for the New Zealanders in the crowd to cheer about at last. Mark Ealy, who took the intercept, he took it from a stationary position, but he still managed to work up enough speed to clear away from the cover defence. But hey, and New Zealand back, well, I guess not in the match as far as winning it is concerned, but that will give them and do them the world of good. Now look at the pass from Alexander, beautifully taken by Elia, pulling it down from his fingertips, and look how quickly he exploded. He hit top pace very quickly. Now Curry, some sensible play here from Tony Curry as he kept them wide. He wasn't going to let him go under the posts, but Elia gets the try. It's 20-6.
Yeah, good ball skills here, Mark Elia, and he's no slug. This fella can go. Here it is, the ball skills turn. Head for home, Mark. Way you go. There's no way they're going to get him. Shut the gate.
So now Kevin Ero has a chance to add the extra 2 points, and that, I'm sure, will do the sagging spirits of the New Zealanders the world of good. They really must have been on the ropes when they trudged off this field at half-time, down by 20 points to 2. But having posted that try, their first try of the match, I'm sure their spirits will start to lift. And Ero, judging from the reaction by the crowd, he's made a bit of a hash of it. It's 20 points to 6. They're still a long way behind.
A reminder that this coverage of the second half of the New Zealand-Australia International, coming to you from QE2 Park in Christchurch, is brought to you by Lion Red Limited.
So there he is, Mark Elia, 26-year-old from Canterbury Bankstown, today playing in his 9th test. This is the man who originally went to England to further his cricket career some years ago and finished up playing for the Kent Invictus side in the 2nd division there, and now a regular member of the Kiwi Rugby League team. Sam Stewart, he's really fired up, not intimidated at all by those enormous big Australian forwards. It's stationed in front of him as he charged into them. So I guess any complacency that there might have been in the Australian camp after that half-time scoreline will have been well and truly ridden by now as a result of that try. Todd to Stewart again on the quarter line. Darryl Williams kicking deep, but good positional play by Belcher. He was waiting there underneath it. Gets away from one tackle. Shearer, such marvellous understanding amongst these Australian backs because a lot of them play together for the Brisbane Broncos and having just had those 3 State of Origin matches as well, and it's clearly showing up in this match. Always seems to be an Australian there to keep the ball alive. Steve Roach again. He has a bit of a reputation for one not always able to control his temper and his aggression, but he's been on perfect behaviour so far this afternoon. Meninga. Haven't seen much of Mel Meninga in this match so far. He's done everything that's been required of him in the goal-kicking department with 4 out of 4. And the word from Wally Lewis to Dale Shearer was to kick. Wasn't a bad bomb either. "14 minutes into the second spell. The only points since half-time, a try to Mark Elia. Shane Cooper plays it back to Brent Todd on the quarter line. Vaughton. We haven't seen much of the Australians so far in the first 15 minutes of the second spell, but they were pretty quiet when the match started as well, just settling down for the first 15 minutes. But boy, when they explode, not great to watch. 3 excellent first half tries. Waters again, a little scissors movement with Wally Lewis. Karen Walters just a metre short when he ran into a brick wall. That was a superb tackle there by Mark Elia because Walters really was at full steam. Sirenen trying to find his way through that last line of defence. Referee has spotted an infringement, has he? No, he's
turnover.
Close shave there for Sam Stewart. He managed to get it on the second attempt. New Zealand running it out from their own line. Sam Stewart again. James Golding. And little Barry Harvey, he went backwards there when he ran into big Sam Backo.
Yes, I'd like to see the Kiwis throw the ball wider here because there are gaps on the flank. There's a big Australian condensed defence in the middle, but there are big gaps on the flank. I'd like to see the ball thrown wider, quicker.
A very good kick there from Darryl Williams. It wasn't made any easier for Shearer by the fact that the Australians are looking into the setting sun in the second half. And the sun is still shining brilliantly here in Christchurch today on this cloudless day in front of a crowd of 15 or 16,000 people, probably the biggest crowd to watch a game of rugby league in the city for 20 or 30 years. Australians with it. A long pass and Kemp looking for the intercept. Now there's a little bit of a hole in the New Zealand defence as Belcher makes a run from the quarter line. To Curry at dummy half to Vaughton. Tony Curry, the man that played a hand in the first 2 tries the Australians scored. He scored one himself, then set up Wally Lewis with the second try. Dale Shearer. Wally Lewis to Steve Roach as he breaks through the tackle of McGann, who's gone down again. Just out of picture, there he is. Number 11, Hugh McGann, who's taken a lot of knocks today as Grant Gallagher, the New Zealand physio, comes on the field. Play continues. Alexander with a little kick, gets there for Alexander. He's got Walters with him, but Darryl Williams mistook the intercept. Greg Alexander perhaps just a little too smart for his own good there. He had a man outside of him who was unopposed, and now it's New Zealand coming away with it. Sam Stewart. Well, the Australians certainly threw a try away there. Freeman. Cooper. Moving it wide, the Aero brothers. Tony, he had Kevin outside of him. Tries to play it himself, but Curry quickly finishes that idea off. And the pass is wide again to Stewart. Tries to fend off Ollie Lewis. But Greg Alexander will be kicking himself there for not passing. Perhaps he didn't know that Walters was out to his right. Kicked the ball straight into the arms of Darryl Williams. Cooper kicking in behind those Australian backs. It's not a bad little kick either. Alexander, Belcher.
This is what the Kiwis have got to do here, Brendan. They've got to try little chip kicks in the wider ball. They're not going to break this Australian defence just by ploughing up the middle now. They've got to throw caution to the wind.
Australia ahead by 20 points to 6. Midway through the second spell. As away come the Australians again. Walters, he's got Shearer with him. And they're moving it wide up to the 22. That's Greg Alexander, taken on the New Zealand quarter line. A good tackle there by Hugh McGann, who, despite the number of knocks that he's had, is not going off. Clyde. Clyde. Sitting in. Inside the New Zealand quarter line. It's the last tackle. Wally Lewis. The little grubber kick, and here we go again. This time it's Cooper. Where's the support? Freeman. But the Australian cover defence really regrouped very quickly there. Shane Cooper perhaps just lacking a yard of pace because he was in the clear.
Yeah, pity it wasn't Mark Earlier. Yeah, he had plenty of real estate ahead of him.
And you'll see the little intercept gathered in by Cooper. Now, he was in the clear here, and Gary Freeman was following him, and Cooper just didn't manage to clear away from the Australian defence. New Zealand ahead on the penalty count by 10-9 from the free kick. Golding again. James Golding. Back in the New Zealand team after a 4-year absence, playing in only his second test today. Played his first against France in 1985. The New Zealand again probing at the Australian defence, almost up to the Australian quarter line in centre field. The only points in the second half, an unconverted try by Mark Elio. It's 20 points to 6 to the Australians. Freeman. Brent Todd. It's really difficult to break this Australian defence. They yield nothing.
Yeah, they've got to put a bomb up here, right into the sun.
Freeman.
No, see, just a lack of organisation there. Turnover, last tackle.
Seems inexplicable at this level of football, inside your opponent's quarter, that you would give possession away with a turnover. But they have, and away come the Australians. Just what Gary Freeman was trying to do out there, we do not know, but the Australians now with possession. Bradley Clyde makes another 15 metres. What a marvellous debut he's had for a 19-year-old. He seems assured of a long and permanent place in the Australian team for many years to come. Alexander, Lewis, Meninga. Meninga, he pushes Kemp off, but not Sam Stewart or James Golding. Walters again. Wally Lewis. Gary Belcher. Tony Iro, who decides to let the ball bounce. The Australians, who can't move until he's moved at least 5 metres. Why Iro never went in and took that ball on the full, I do not know, but however, Daryl Williams to Harvey at dummy half. Freeman, Sam Stewart. "24 minutes of play in the second half. Australia ahead by 20 points to 6. They haven't added to their half-time score. Freeman, Cooper, again chipping the ball over the back, waiting underneath. It was Hancock. He took it well. As Tony Kemp arrived there as well, he didn't flinch at all. An interference, I think the referee has judged on Cooper on Hancock. So the Australians receive a penalty. So Lewis looking into the sun from just inside the New Zealand half. Takes play up almost to the New Zealand quarter line. From there, the free kick. Garrett Walters to Steve Roach. Alexander. This is a move they practiced time and time again at practice yesterday at St Andrews College here in Christchurch. That double scissors movement. As Borton again.
Yeah, this is where the Australians get dangerous here. They'll just take 3 or 4 plays up, and then they'll have a planned move on.
Lewis couldn't get his pass to Garrett Walters, and diving on the ball was Barry Harvey. Cooper missing out Elia. Cooper, Freeman. Elia to Cooper. Well, the New Zealanders still trying to run the ball wide out. There's a bit of room here for the Eros. Away goes Kevin Eroy. He's got his brother with him on the outside. But, again, the defensive mistake. Brendan Tuta, well, he had the line ahead of him, but for the 16th time today, we see the New Zealanders dropping the ball. And he's terribly disappointed because there really was a try on there. Maybe Kevin Eroy should have moved the ball to his right to his brother Tony.
Yeah, Tony was just a little bit too far behind. It went to the right man, but we've got to take those passes. We've put down too many in this test match today.
Clyde. Walters. Backo. 26 minutes into the second scroll. About 15 minutes of the match remaining. Roach. Now that looked a little suspect on Roach, but the referee, Mr. Tennant, says no. Play can continue. And Steve Roach not terribly impressed with that tackle on him by Sam Stewart. As the way come the Australians again. Sirenen. There are men on here for the Australians. Walters. He had the man on the left, but he was looking for support on the right. And New Zealand had time to regroup. Belcher. Meninga. Good tackle on Meninga, but he's still got his pass away. Curry. You've got to watch this man. Curry. And his lookalike, Dale Shearer. And the Australians look as if they just lost their concentration. A lapse there as the ball went loose. No one seemed to want it. So James Gordon said, thank you, I'll have it. And New Zealand come away with it with a new 6 tackle count. Elia.
I think a lot of credit must go to the New Zealand defence in the second half to keep the Australians scoreless.
Yes, the New Zealanders can take some, I guess, kudos from the second spell, in as much that they kept the Australians scoreless and have added a try themselves. Only points in the second spell, a Mark Elia try, an intercept from halfway. Now Freeman. Freeman having a little probe, but taken in the tackle there by Tony Curry. Daryl Williams kicking for that corner flag. It's not a bad looking kick. There he is, the Manly fullback, who really has been one of the Kiwis today, who can be very pleased with his performance. Had a super game from fullback. Those long, deep probing kicks, which have enabled the New Zealanders to exert some pressure on the Australians in a scrum to take place inside the Australian quarter line. And Alexander, and he's lost it. but I think he's penalised Brendan Tutor for being offside, coming around too quickly, and so Wally Lewis has a chance to take some of that pressure off the Australians as he takes play back towards halfway.
Yes, again, you know, the mistakes, they just keep tallying up, and it just keeps the Australians ahead in the scoreboard.
So Vaughton to Walters, a dummy half, to Sam Backo. Still got his pass away. As the sun starts to extend its shadow across the park here at QE2. Lewis to Belcher, the dummy to Lewis, and Belcher continues up towards the quarter line. Sirinen up over the quarter line, Paul Sirinen. And what will the Australians do here? They're looking for Wally Lewis. He's out to the left. There he is at the bottom of the picture. And it's the little grubber kick, is it? Yes, but it's too deep. No pressure there at all on Williams. New Zealand will restart from the 22. Freeman. To the last 10 minutes of this first test, the first of 3 to be played over the next few weeks here in New Zealand. The second test at Rotorua next Sunday, and the third at Mount Smart. All 3 test matches this year being played at non-rugby league venues. This one has been a marvellous success with a very big crowd here. Certainly the number of people here today, far more than the Eddington Showgrounds could accommodate. Tutor trying the little chip kick, but into the arms of Alexander. Hancock decides to have a run. Kerrod Walters. Vaughton, Fatty Vaughton as they call him. He doesn't seem to be at all offended by that name that they have for him. In fact, you may have even heard the expression a few times from our fixed microphones as his teammates call out to him. Steve Roach, who's made a successful comeback to the Australian side today. He hadn't had much of a season as away goes Sirinen, and Paul Sirinen scoring a try, and that try has been coming all afternoon, time and time again. He's broken tackles, and the Australians post their first try of the second spell. It's 24-6. How many times today have we seen this from Sirinen? The pass from Wally Lewis. Standing up in the tackle, he had an instinctive knowledge of exactly where Sirinen was, broke out of 1, 2, 3 very weak tackles, including that last attempt from Darryl Williams, 24-6.
Yeah, well, just have a look at this inside pass, reverse pass here from Lewis. This is just straight power from Sirinen. This is the power of the man. He deserves this try. He's looked for this try the whole match, and to me, he is the player of the match, Paul Sirinen. Well-deserved try.
There's Paul Sirinen, this 24-year-old who was actually lost to rugby league temporarily back in 1983 when he won a football scholarship to the University of Hawaii. It's not hard to see why. Immense strength of the man. Meanwhile, Mel Meninga is having a good day here at QE2 Park. 5 out of 5 today for Meninga. 4 of them have been fairly simple kicks, but he also converted that try from near the touchline, and it's 26-6. So we look at that try again, and just look at the creative genius here of Wally Lewis. He knew exactly where Sirinen was, stood up in the tackle, perfect pass to Sirinen as he brushed away those rather weak New Zealand tackles and strided in confidently for the try. We notice a few of the fans starting to leave QE2 Park in Christchurch as they sense the fate of this match is well and truly sealed, and I guess any remote hopes that New Zealand might have had of staging a remarkable comeback were extinguished with that try by Suriname. 26-6, 1 try apiece in the second spell. And the Australians may well be making a replacement that looks like Michael O'Connor, who's stripping down on the Australian bench. Meanwhile, back on the field of play, Stephen Roach to Suriname. And again, Suriname makes the break. He's in the clear. He's only got Daryl Williams. He's looking for some support. Finds it in the form of Bort, but the pass was misdirected. Hancock. And the pace of this match has really slowed down.
Come on!
Australia moving the ball as wide to Meninga. Meninga lost it forward. I get the impression, Frank, that both of these two teams would rather like to hear the sound of the final hooter at the moment. There's some pretty tired men out there, particularly in the New Zealand camp.
Some very tired men. I understand Paul Suriname's a policeman at home. I wish he had stayed there.
Kemp to Daryl Williams. He's got Tony Ero there with him, but he drifts away from him and taken in the tackle by new man on the field, Dave Trawella. And away goes Ero to Elia. Could be number 2 here for Mark Elia. Shearer giving chase. Can the momentum get there? He's just a metre short, and it needed the speed of Dale Shearer, who really flew after Elia. And the referee, I think, is blowing his whistle as he penalised the Australians. No. Williams. The Kiwis would love another try here. Gary Freeman. No way through there, Mr. Freeman, as he runs straight into Sam Backo. And I think Backo has been penalised for not allowing Freeman to play the ball, so the New Zealanders receive a penalty, but they take the tap. Todd. So Mark Elia within an ace of scoring his second runaway try. Tony Kemp can't get past Lewis. And into touch they go. So the scrum to go down about 7 or 8 metres from the Australian line. Into the last 5 minutes of this test. Australia ahead by 26-6. Each team with 1 try in the second spell. As Greg Alexander feeding the scrum. Gets his pass away to Gary Belcher. Lewis. Dale Shearer, the man who made tremendous ground to pull down Mark Elia. He must have been giving him the best part of 7 or 8 metres, but he still made the tackle. A metre from the line as away comes Belcher. Lewis looking for the speedsters, and he finds one in the form of Dale Shearer. Look at the speed of this man. And Michael O'Connor, there he is, who's on the field, who fumbled the ball. New Zealanders receive a penalty. There's Shane Cooper having a long run on his own. Kevin Ero, the New Zealanders determined to score another try before this match is over, but another error this time from Gary Freeman, losing the ball forward, and the Australians have possession.
We haven't seen a lot of Kevin Ero today, but what we have seen is just straight class. He makes these half gaps, but we've got to have the support runners with him.
Thrown forward by Walters, and the referee sees there is no advantage to New Zealand, and so the scrum to take place just inside the Australian half. Howie Tamati, what's it look like from down there on the touchline?
Well, I think the New Zealand side can take a lot of heart from this second half performance. I would hope the New Zealand selectors don't panic too much. Once they got their act together and started tackling, they've done all right this half. Obviously, the Australians have made a few busts, but we've had our chances as well. I think it's been a really learning day for the New Zealand Rugby League side today, and let's hope in the second test they really get their act together.
Kemp. Good run there from Tony Kemp. Rather undoes much of his good work by slipping the ball to his opposite number, Curry, and away come the Australians from inside their own half. 26-6, 20 points to 2 at half-time, 1 try apiece in the second spell. And as Howie Tamati said, something perhaps for the New Zealanders to build on from the second half effort as they look forward to the next 2 tests. They were completely outplayed in the latter stages of the first spell, allowing the Australians to run in 3 tries in 16 minutes and seeing the score expand from 2-all to 20-2 in the last 20 minutes of the first spell. But they've come back well on the second spell and have created a few scoring opportunities for themselves, which we never saw in the first half as well.
Yeah, sure, they've created quite a few opportunities, but you must take the football there and score with the football. And this is it. We just put down too much ball to win this match today. But they have showed a lot of heart in the second half.
Looks like another replacement has been made on the Australian forward line. I think Maguire's on for Roach. Gary Freeman plays it to Tony Iroa at the dummy half to Shane Cooper. Cooper, who's had a pretty good game at standoff half for New Zealand as well. Plays it off the red carpet. Hugh McGann staying on to the end, and that's going to be too deep, is it, from Hugh McGann, the New Zealand captain, who really hasn't played a major part in the second spell due to a couple of heavy knocks he suffered in the first half and another in the second spell. But the fact that he's remained on the field, I think, has probably been an important factor for the New Zealand effort. He's such an inspired leader. Kerrod Walters at dummy half takes the play from Maguire. Bradley Clyde takes it up to 10 metres outside the quarter line. Into the last couple of minutes of this match, and the Australians, who have certainly wrapped up this first test and will take a 1-0 lead as they go into the second test in Rotorua in a week's time. Greg Alexander, I think a little surprised to receive that pass. There's the hooter for the full-time sound here at Te Kiwi2 Park. And so the Kangaroos, the defending world champions, and boy, do they play like world champions as well. Too good for the Kiwis today, winning by 26 points to 6. The win was really constructed in the last 15 minutes of the first half when they ran in 3 tries from Curry, Lewis and Walters. It was 20 points to 2 at half-time. An improved performance by the New Zealanders in the second spell. A try by Elia. Suriname replied for the Australians, and in the end it was 26 to 6 to the Australians.
Coverage of today's Rugby League International between New Zealand and Australia has been brought to you in association with Lion Red Limited.
So as the crowd makes their way out of Kiwi2 Park from this historic occasion, the first time an international rugby league match has been played here at this venue, and it certainly has been a big success judging by the public support for the match. Disappointed, no doubt, with the Kiwi effort in the first half, but there's no doubt about this Australian side. They're worthy world champions. Frank Endicott.
Well, I don't know whether we played so bad. I think we've got to give credit to this Australian side. This is one of the best sides I've seen in a long time. But, you know, if you allow them to run and allow them to get the pass away and the tackle, they're made to look good, better, you know, maybe even better than what they are. But overall, I can be pleased with the Kiwi effort.
They certainly improved their showing in the second spell, and I think Hugh McGann might be down there with Grant Nisbet at the moment. Grant.
Yes, thanks, Brendan. Hugh McGann, commiserations, but a very good effort in the second half for New Zealand.
Well, we had to tighten them up out wide because that's where they were making their breaks, and we tightened that up, but unfortunately their big forwards started to take control. They used their size to an advantage, and it's something we may have to look at for the next week, but we've got a week to do something. I was proud of the way that the guys didn't give up, but we need more penetration, we need some more concentration, and hopefully we can develop that this week.
Were the Aussies as good as you thought they'd be?
Oh, just as good. We always knew they were going to be a very tough side. They've got the ability out wide and in close to do some damage, and as I said, we've got a lot of work to do. Today was a test in itself for us. We hadn't had a game together. We tried to get combinations through the week. It only started to come right for us the last 2 training sessions, and unfortunately that probably wasn't enough for us.
I know you lost by 20 points, Hugh, but did the tactics go according to plan? What did you actually set out to do in the game?
Well, actually, we had to try and get the ball a little wider. Unfortunately, we had 2 plays to try and take it up the centre, but unfortunately that didn't work for us, and we were always on the back foot. But like I say, it was a test in itself for us. It's something that we have to work on. We'll look at this week and hopefully overcome next week.
And you reckon you've still got the team that can beat the Aussies?
I'm sure we have. We proved today that we can make the breaks. It's a matter of backing up and holding the players down in their own quarter, the opposition in their own quarter. We gave away silly mistakes, dropped ball again. We took the pressure off them and put it on ourselves by giving away those mistakes when we had them dead on their line. And as I said, it's discipline more for us than for them.
What about yourself? You took a few hard knocks in the game.
Oh, that's just part of the course. It's something I'll hope to get over the next couple of days and probably pretty myself up over the next day or so.
Good on you, Hugh. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, mate.
Well said, Hugh McGann. Yeah, I guess a rugby league test is not exactly a dinner party. Hugh McGann, a rather composed and rather eloquent Hugh McGann there, summarising the match with Grant Nisbet. So 26 points to 6 the Australians have won, a 20-point victory now. Frank Endicott, when a team loses a test match by 20 points, you start to think that there must be some changes for the next test team. Can you see any changes in the Kiwi team for Rotorua?
I hope not. I hope they stick with the same players. They showed enough out there today.